First question from the audience.
How long have you been cosplaying?
I've been cosplaying for a total of 8 years now. Yeah, I started my cosplay journey back in 2017.
And what made you get into cosplay?
So this is a story I've told a lot of times. Basically, I was in the military, and before I deployed to Afghanistan, I decided that I was going to party in Atlanta for my 30-day R&R. Basically what that is, you deploy for 12 months, and 6 months after you're over in Afghanistan, you come back for 30 days. That's your 30-day R&R. So I knew before I deployed, like, all right, I'm going to come back and party in Atlanta. Me, my little brother, and my best friend. So I booked a room at the Hilton. So once we booked the room at the Hilton, you know, I did my 6 months out there in theater, which is Afghanistan, then came back for my 30 days. And then I went during Labor Day weekend. So I went down to Atlanta. Me and my best friend, my little brother, we checked into the room. And we noticed a lot of people there, but we didn't really pay much attention till we got our stuff in the room and then we got on the elevator. Once we got on the elevator, we saw all these cosplayers. And then they started asking us questions like, you know, have you ever heard of the different things they were cosplaying? And I was like, oh, you're the guy from Fifth Element, Ruby Rod. And then another guy was one of the characters from Children's Hospital. And I was like, Children's Hospital? And he was like, oh man, I love you guys. And I was like, yeah. I was like, is there a party or something going on? So then he was like, well, why don't you guys come down to the bar with us? And since we were staying at the Hilton at Dragon Con, we went ahead, went down to the bar, and that's when we just met a ton of cosplayers. And from there on, you know, that's pretty much how my cosplay journey started.
You said you booked the room at the Hilton. Did you know it was Dragon Con weekend on your 30th?
No, I didn't even know what cons were. Yeah, it was a surprise. Because I only knew about San Diego Comic-Con, but I never knew there were like other events, you know, which is kind of crazy now that I think about it, because C2E2 in Chicago and AC in Chicago. So I never knew about it until I accidentally went to Dragon Con.
Accidentally went to Dragon Con. That's just right there. Dragon Con turned people out left and right.
Really?
Okay, so you've been cosplaying for so long. You have created so many iconic different looks, so many different characters you've cosplayed as. Who is your favorite character you cosplay as? What is your favorite cosplay? And what is like your most hated cosplay that you just can't stand wearing, but people love you wearing?
Okay, so my favorite cosplay, I would definitely have to say, is Mario. Once I finally did Mario, it took a few years. My fan base has been asking me to do it. And once I did Mario, I just had so much fun cosplaying. Kids love it, adults love it, and I could act kind of as goofy as I want, which is just like a perfect thing for somebody like me. As far as the cosplay that I hate, oh man. I would say a cosplay that I hate the most is my Roger Klotz, but from Doug. Everybody loves that cosplay. Nickelodeon shared it. It's, you know, it went super viral. But it's just my whole body is, oh, well, my face, my neck, and my hands are painted. And then I'm wearing like the leather jacket with it as Roger Klotz. So I'm hot and I'm in paint. But everybody loves that cosplay so much. So it's like, you know, everybody wants to take tons of pictures. And I'm sitting there burned up and dying. And, you know, but so that's probably my most hated. And for me to cosplay, that's the one I hate to do the most.
Once you started cosplaying, what was your first cosplay, and were you prepared for all the attention that you would get once in cosplay, being stopped every 2 feet for a picture?
So my first cosplay was Killer Bee from Naruto. I didn't know the magnitude of what would happen. So for me, it was like complete shock. I mean, I loved it. At the same time, I was just super shocked because so many people were stopping me. Like, I had seen cosplayers before, but I never knew it was going to happen like that, especially with Killer Bee. And at the time, I was a much bigger guy, so I really fit the character very well. So I never knew that so many people were going to resonate with it and they liked it and they wanted pictures. So I was getting stopped like every 2 seconds, and it was just like, wow, like, you know, people really like this. And I guess, you know, I wouldn't say I felt like a celebrity, but I felt like a lot of people enjoyed what I was doing. So it was just fun to do. It was fun to feel like, but it was definitely shocking to begin with.
Now, you are a part of a very vast, large cosplay community here in Atlanta. who are some of the cosplayers you know that have helped you with your craft and helped elevate your skill set in cosplay?
So one definitely was Papa Bear Cosplay in Chicago. When I first started cosplaying, Papa Bear was probably the person I turned to. He had a Sci-Fi Channel commercial for his cosplay, and I was like, well, even though he's got like a giant following and he's very popular and very famous, I was like, I'm gonna try to shoot my shot and kind of ask him questions. He had no problem with telling me like how to cosplay, what to do, how to build stuff. Also, Shawshank cosplay. He was selling cosplay commissions, and I saw like everybody was buying like all these commissions from him. So I had questions for him on how he built stuff. And Shawshank Cosplay was real quick to tell me like exactly step by step what to do to create these cosplays just like he did. So for me, there was a lot of cosplayers who didn't say anything when I asked them. But those two, Papa Bear and Shawshank, they were the quickest to like respond to armor build stuff. As far as like face paint and sewing, I want to say Tranquil Ashes, Anita Riggs, she was real quick to tell me how to sew and real quick to tell me how to paint, like face paint. So, you know, and how to put buffer on and how to put setting on to your skin. Because I didn't even really know that was possible until she went into it. So I was fortunate enough to find those like major cosplayers for them to actually help me.
Now, as a cosplayer, you obviously attend cons and do photo shoots and things like that. Do you have any tips and tricks or any advice for cosplayers who are looking for photographers to help elevate their cosplay? Do you have any tips you can give that cosplayer for what to look for in a good photographer?
If you want to look for a good photographer, first thing you should do is find the pictures that you like the most. So people who cosplay that you think the pictures are great quality, you find them, look on their page. They'll 9 times out of 10 they'll tag the photographer who took the pictures of their cosplay. So luckily enough, they'll take the picture, you'll see it right there, it'll show the picture, and they'll give credit to the photographer. Then it's a matter of just reaching out to the photographer and waiting for them to get back to you. Now, I had the mistake of sometimes I'd reach out to photographers and they'd be like halfway across the country and they were like, look, I'm probably not gonna be down there, so I can't really do it. But once you look at, you know, cosplayers in your area and find who takes the pictures of them, the good quality pics, you can reach out to them. Now, they might be expensive, but access to those photographers are usually always there. You know, it might not be on the exact day you want it, but you'll be able to discuss with them on how to decide when you can shoot these pictures. And they'll ask you information like, you know, how do you want the picture shot? What character are you doing? What type of background do you want? And, you know, so photographers are very flexible in the cosplay community from what I've experienced.
Okay. How did you come up with your cosplay?
With my cosplay name?
Yes.
So, like I told you guys, I accidentally went to Dragon Con. It was me, my brother, and my best friend. So when I first decided, like, okay, I need to start cosplaying, my brother was involved with it. So it was me and my brother, and we created the cosplay page, Venture Bros. And we were thinking of a name. We were like, well, what are we gonna call it? And then my brother actually decided, he said, why don't we call it Venture Bros? Because that was one of our favorite shows, Venture Bros. So he was like, why don't we call it Venture Bros? You know, since we're gonna create the page together. And that's how we came up with the name. The thing is, my brother, he got into a grad school program. So when he went to go for his master's degree, he actually moved away. And so I held down the fort until he was supposed to be done. And then once he finished his master's degree, at that point, you know, physically he had gained a lot of weight and he didn't really go like he wanted to cosplay until he got back to the weight that he wanted. So it became kind of a solo show, and it's been like that since.
Okay. What opportunities has cosplaying opened up for you specifically?
Woo! I mean, I never thought that I would be in magazines. I never thought that I would be in the newspaper. I never thought I'd be on the cover of magazines. I mean, like recently I was shared because I did an article with the Houston Chronicle, and I never thought that, you know, newspapers would reach out to me about cosplay and stuff. And when I tell, you know, my mother, she finds out about it, she tells the family, and they don't even understand what cosplay is, but they know like, oh man, he's in the paper and stuff. So it's open opportunities. I mean, here at Momocon, literally it's a small world because in the VIP lounge, two people come up to me and ask me, can they sit down with me? And I'm like, sure. And they're like, oh, you want to cosplay guest? I'm like, yeah. And one of the guys, Greg Baldwin, he was like, you know, I'm a voice actor. And I asked him, what do you voice act? And he said, I voice act Uncle Iroh. And the crazy enough part is, I cosplayed Uncle Iroh and he shared it before. So I showed him the picture and the screenshot of when he shared my cosplay. And I was like, it's a small world. And then they were just like, wow, we shared you before. And I was like, yeah. So cosplay has opened up that type of avenue for me where I have connection with voice actors, directors, regular actors, where writers, you know, and I've been on all these facets of media. And it's gotten me a ton of connections and a ton of friends. And that's not even counting like from the financial and business angle that it's opened up for me to where cosplay has become like a side job for me.
Since you attend so many different cons, what is your favorite con to attend? Or what are some of your favorite cons to attend?
So Momocon is quickly, and this isn't just because of the interview, Momocon has quickly become like already in my top 5, you know, and because everybody's been so nice, it's been so laid back, and you know, it's just so accommodating. It's just like, man, I really like this guy. My favorite would, of course, probably have to be DragonCon because that was my first, and every year I go have a ton of fun. BlurredCon is one of my favorites, and DreamCon is another one of my favorites. Just because, like, a lot of things that go on at those cons I resonate with. A lot of those cons have been, all of them have been very accommodating to me. There's been like tons of anime content or Marvel and fantasy content, and you know, I was treated, my experiences with those cons have just been like stellar to the point where I tell people like, hey, you need to go at least once. Like I've told people like, you need to come to Momocon, because I'm like, I've always heard stories about Momocon and how good it was, but I only came down to Atlanta for DragonCon. So then, you know, once I was, you know, made a guest here, I was like, all right, you know, I finally get to see if, you know, the rumors and the legends about how good Momocon is are true. And luckily, you know, it didn't disappoint. So, you know, I've told people, friends of mine already, I'm like, man, since you're in Atlanta, go ahead and just, you know, come just Saturday, you know, come just, you know, one day at least so you can see what I'm talking about. So for me, those are like, you know, some of my top 5 cons.
Last question.
What's one of your happiest memory brought to you by cosplay?
Oh, that's easy. Literally, St. Jude's Hospital in Chicago. I was in charge or a part of a cosplay group called Cosplaying with a Cause. And when we went to St. Jude's Hospital, we worked with the terminally ill kids. And at the time, I was like, even though I was a 305 pound Spider-Man cosplayer, I cosplayed Spider-Man, and you know, a lot of the kids that were terminally ill, you know, they had cancer, these different illnesses, man, they lit up. You wouldn't even tell like these kids were sick or anything because of the way they interacted with me. They were trying to climb on me, they were trying to wrestle around, they wanted to be Spider-Man, they wanted to put on my mask. So it was just like that point in my cosplay career was probably the most fulfilling. And I don't see anything ever being able to top that, because working with terminally ill kids, like, cause for me, having fun with cosplay is great, but being able to inspire those kids and light them up like the way I did at the hospital, that was just fulfilling to something that I could barely even describe.
And can you tell for the audience how they can follow you on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook, Venture Bros Cosplay. You can follow me on Instagram, Venture__Bros, TikTok, Venture__Bros, Twitter, Venture Cosplay, or Venture Bros Cosplay 2.
All right. Thank you so much for being part of Momocon and being part of the